What is up, internet world, and welcome back to the channel. Today I bring you the 2021 GMC Sierra Denali. So the last GMC Sierra we had on the channel is pretty much almost identical to this, except this is from their sub-brand Denali. You see, the AT4, which is what we reviewed last time, and that is 2 inches higher, it's more really designed for off-road use. This is designed for the streets. This has a performance pack. It has a catback exhaust. It's got a performance intake. This has luxurious interior. This has an awesome front grille that has 10,000 reflective surfaces on the front of this grille. This is beautiful, but for me, it's important because my whole, that was a fly. The whole lifestyle of what I encompass involves trucks. You see, in all my businesses, whether it's rentals, renovations, flips, roofing, all that stuff, lifestyle encompasses trucks. I pull a dump trailer, I pull jet skis, I pull a travel trailer that's 2 bedrooms and 40 feet long. I use a truck a lot. You see, that's what my life encompasses. So for me, it's really important to know what a truck can do. And this thing carries a 6.2 liter engine that makes 420 horsepower and 480 foot-pounds of torque. So there's enough power here. There's no electrification in this thing. This is probably one of the last rough and raw trucks available. So 20% of all vehicle sales in North America are pickup trucks. 20%. Now, out of that 20%, 36% belongs to GM, and that's number one. That's with Silverado and Sierra with their Denali and AT4 brands. Number two is Ford with their F-150. Number three is the Ram at 11%. 4 is Toyota, and number 5 is the Nissan Titan. Now, put that all together, and what does that mean? That means the future looks like pickup trucks. And to prove that, look at Tesla with their Cybertruck, and GM with the Hummer, and of course, Rivian. Those are pretty cool future items to look forward to. But what does that mean with today's vehicles? And why should I look at this Sierra when electrification is around the corner and vehicles are offering electric? And that is because of price. Yes, price. Think about it. There's a shortage of semiconductor chips. There's a shortage of trucks out there in the market. And there's definitely a shortage of a 6.2 liter engine that sounds like this. So in the Denali, like the AT4, it's got the big, huge grille. Yes, this is slightly different in terms of chrome, but essentially it's the same thing. The only difference also being is that these are chrome on the bottom here and not red like the AT4. As far as engine goes, this is a 6.2. The AT4 we had before was actually a diesel, so you can watch that video to see the difference in engine performance compared to this thing, because this thing flies. So on the side here, we have 22-inch wheels. We also have carpeted inner fender liners, front and back. To me, that's important because it's insulated, it's quieter, and that's what this thing is inside. I still don't have a clue why they have these antennas. We should get rid of them, considering you have this as an option. That is sweet. And what's sweeter is that it has a little button here on the side. Whoops, come back here, buddy. There we go. That if I want to go into the bed, this happens. That is pretty cool. That I can actually get into the bed from here as opposed to doing one of these like I have to do in my Ram. Cool little feature. It does have a washer nozzle here for the camera under the mirror. It also does have your turn signal through LEDs here, and it does have the nice 6.2 V8, letting everybody on the street know that you're a boss. It also does have the fact that you can actually lock and unlock the doors from the back. A lot of cars actually don't have that. It might sound silly, they only have them in the front. This one has them in the back. That is important to have. But look how striking this thing is on the side. It's just so beefy and big. Yeah, this is the biggest looking pickup truck on the market today. This thing is like angular and it's huge. It's so big that this whole showroom is filled. Yes, you guys must love the front. Even with the engine that operates 17 different ways, that runs from a 2-cylinder all the way, yes, up to an 8-cylinder, even the auto high beams. But for me, it's the back. I love the fact this thing says Denali on the back. This is probably one of the best looking tailgates I've seen. And the fact it does this is pretty cool. It's got a multi-purpose 6-function tailgate that does this. The AT4 had this, but it didn't have this. This has a kicker sound system that you can plug your phone in and play tunes while tailgating. This is pretty sweet. All right, so in the back here of the bed, this does not have the optional Carbon Pro bed liner. It does have a spray-on bed liner, which I do like because it does say Denali right there. This does have 6 tie downs on each side, and you can add more tie downs. If you look right here, these are little clips that come out, these rubber lid bushings that come out, and you can add more clamps, which is nice. It does obviously have the LEDs you see there and a full plug-in. But the coolest part about it are these 2 cameras. The first one here actually shows you the bed, and the second one is a rear view camera, which GM puts in most of their products, including Cadillac, but I like it because you can actually see what's behind you. So if there's something in your bed that's blocking your vision here, you can see behind that. That is pretty cool. This has something called transparent trailer view. Now you plug in 2 cameras here that attach to the back of the trailer, and along with the cameras in the truck, make it appear that the trailer is transparent. So it makes it a lot easier for you to park the trailer because all you see is the visuals behind the trailer and the trailer being non-existent. Pretty cool technology made right here in Canada. So here's how this tailgate works. There's lots of different features you can use with it, but this is my favorite part besides the sound system, is the fact this goes up and this acts as a stopper for all your material inside. So if you've got longer 2x4s, if you've got something that's a little bit longer where in a short box you need the extra depth, you've got this to stop it. That is pretty cool. And it also doubles as a step if you want to get in. This drops and you step right in, you grab the handlebar and you jump in. Wow, those step bars fly out now. They're not slow at all. They just come out, step in, jump in. They are noisy when they go back in, but otherwise, yeah, no complaints. Seats are, yes, they're Denali-like. They obviously have this brown, this specific one has a brown and sort of a dark gray inserts. It does have some cool storage features though. I can slide this open here and there is lots of space in the back here that I can put some articles on both sides. It also does have this center armrest that comes down. It does have your cup holders. Now, I know guys like to put this stuff here, but when you have your arm here, it is kind of irritating to have plastic right here. Now, it's not just GM, it's probably across the board. Most vehicles have it, and yeah, I just like to have it somewhere else. They do have cup holders here, but it's a numbers thing. When people look at a brochure, they want to know how many cup holders they have. And yes, by adding these 2 in probably the worst place to put them, adds to the number. Now, as far as everything else go, yes, there's a ton of space here. They do have cutouts in the headliner here for higher headroom for tall people in the back. And because this is more of a boxy type design, there is obviously a lot of space in here. So underneath these seats, you do have some storage for some extra small articles. You also do have 2 pockets behind each seat, and you also have heated seats, and you have USB, USB-C, and cigarette lighter. And not to mention, you actually do have a flat floor, almost a flat floor in the back here, so the third person sitting in the middle doesn't feel like he's got no space to move his legs or clap. All right, so I'm inside the 2021 Sierra Denali, and yes, these perforated seats are very Denali-like. This wireless charging makes me feel modern, but everything else doesn't. But don't worry, because the 2022 version will have digital everything. It's going to be taking pieces from the Hummer EV, and it'll be nice and modern if that's what you want. But if you don't want modern and you want work-like, truck-like, muscular, and tough, then maybe you want this 2021 Denali, because it does have a lot of features. It does have all the safety stuff like automatic braking, blind spot indicator, 15-inch heads-up display, or maybe you want the 2022 that's probably going to be a horizontal, I don't know how big it is, but it's a lot bigger than this 8-inch. It probably might be 15 because they love the number 15, 15-inch heads-up display, 15 different camera angles, and yes, 15-inch horizontal center driver display. Now, as far as what we're working with today, we do have all the touch buttons. That is the same as the AT4. There's not much difference except for the fact this is brown and that is not. It does have some cool features though, like open pore ash wood. It does have some aluminum pieces here, and it does have, you know, the Denali, which makes me feel rich. Seriously speaking though, this does pretty much everything that the new one will do, except this has a shifter up here and the new one will have a shifter down here. So if you don't like that one, this is what you got to get. And at least you're watching this video to know you can buy the 2022 or you can buy the 2021. It ain't out yet, but that's what's coming. So let's take this thing for a drive and see how it pulls in real life. All right guys, so I'm trying to give you guys some real life perspective. This is how I live my life. This is my 2-bedroom, 30-foot trailer that actually extends out to about 37 feet, and I pull it with my 2020 Ram. And I'm excited because I want to compare this to how the Denali Sierra pulls this trailer. Now this trailer is 9,200 pounds, which is exactly the maximum load that Denali can take. Now the Ram's a hair more, But the Ram has an issue because it has really soft suspension. And what happens is I get a lot of sway in it. Now I noticed that in the Denali, I don't have that issue. It's a lot firmer suspension. So I'm excited to drive that Denali with this trailer. But before I do that, let's go check the trailer out. Now what is important to note, and one of the biggest tests when it comes to trucks, is how much weight you can put in the back end. So payload, how much weight you can put in, but also the sway in the back. So the thing I don't like about the Ram is this. I can simply put my little bony chicken legs against the back of this and it really sways. Now look at the sway I have here. And that really shows what it's gonna do in the back of the trailer that's 37 feet long. Now that is crazy because this has to be tightened up. Yes, I don't have my bars across and my sway bars and my torsion bars across. This is just basically sitting on the tongue here. Now, I'm gonna show you how this looks like in the Sierra because the Sierra is not gonna have this ability. This is really pushes and sways. Now, one of the most important things about backing onto the trailer is the cameras. Now, you don't want to get in and out of the truck to see how this thing backs up. So I put this thing in reverse, and obviously I can see on the screen here, I can see the overhead, which is really nice, but I can also see this sort of caution sign that pops up right over where the ball is. Now I gotta hit this button here and now it goes into trailer mode. So let me hit this button again and go to trailer. There we go. Now it wipes that away. The sun is a little bit tight to see. I gotta take my glasses off and look a little bit tighter, but it's a pretty good system. It's a little bit small. I wish the screen was a little bit bigger, but it's a little bit small. Let me try that. I'm not just aligned enough here. Yeah, perfect. We'll just match it up here. And we back it up right on the red as we stay calm. And right there. Perfect. How much does a Sierra sag? Oh, we're sagging. Not bad, not bad. We'll see. How much saggier is that than the Ram? Let me check. A little bit better. It's actually a little bit better than the Ram. So in the spirit of good looks, I have put the torsion bars, or the sway bars as you call them, in the back. So now it does level off the trailer. It moves some of the weight from the tongue to the back of the trailer. So it does show a little bit more level in terms of visuals. And also it's a lot safer because the weight is more evenly distributed. Now let's take this thing for a drive. The trailer, for those that want to know, this trailer is completely empty. There's nothing in it. But I wanted to see how this feels compared to the Ram 5.7 that I drive, as well as how it would be used for someone that's never driven a truck or had a truck, but bought a truck for a trailer. All right, and off we go. It definitely feels less like strain. The Ram definitely feels a lot more like I'm getting pulled back. This feels solid. So here's something really interesting to know for those that are buying trucks that are not used to trailering with their truck, is numbers. So this, on paper, what we found is it tows 9,200 pounds or 9,300 pounds. This trailer is 9,200 pounds. So we're pretty much at max capacity. I don't feel like I'm at max capacity with this thing. But with that said, the Ram does tow about 11,000 pounds. Now, I don't drive faster than about 75 to 80 kilometers an hour, or about, say, 45 miles or so with the Ram, and that is because it's just a lot more weight in the back than it is that I'm in the truck, right? Like the truck weighs about 5,000 pounds or so, and the trailer weighs like 10,000 pounds. So that's like twice the weight you're pulling. So even though it can pull it, it just doesn't feel that safe. Now, this thing feels safer because I feel like I'm getting less tug back on the actual vehicle in the car here itself. It still doesn't negate the fact that that's 10,000 pounds or 9,000 pounds, and this is about 5,000 pounds. It's funny how everybody looks at me funny pulling this trailer because it's so long. It's about 37 feet from end to end. But I'm gonna back this thing up now. Okay, perfect. Another thing I've noticed is the mirrors are definitely wider than the Rams. I can see pretty much both sides of the trailer very easily here. And this heads-up display being 15 inches is so easy to see. It's nice and wide and big. And the seats are definitely harder than the Rams. The Rams are a little bit soft. These are harder. They're a bit more firm. Same with the suspension. The suspension's firm, but now that I have weight on it, the suspension feels softer. Kind of weird. This is really interesting. I honestly thought my Ram, I didn't think there was much that could beat my Ram. Now, of course, all the F-150 guys are like, what? What do you mean? But I honestly think a Ram is a really good all-around truck. But now pulling this trailer, I'm actually caught off guard. This thing pulls it very well, considering it pulls like, so on paper, it pulls like 2,000, almost 2,000 pounds less, which is really weird. Got me scratching. You got me scratching, GM. The steering wheel is definitely lighter than the Ram. I go like this, and I can feel it on. Now this does have the performance, so the droning of the exhaust, I'd probably, a lot of guys like that, but in a truck, meh, I feel like it's pointless. Now for all those in the comment section that are gonna say, if you're pulling a 9 or 10,000 pound trailer, you should just be buying a 250 instead of, or the HD instead of a 1500 because it just doesn't pull enough. But for most people, they're not pulling a trailer every day. They're pulling a trailer only once in a while. So you want something to use every day, and obviously these type of trucks, these full-size trucks are comfortable, so that's why people buy them. And this just pulls it with more ease than my Ram does, there's no doubt. Yes, it does have a 6.2, but the chassis itself is definitely more harder, and I can tell that it's just tougher than the Ram. The Ram's a bit softer. It just feels more heavy duty, which means I can probably put more crap in the back. And when I did the tongue test, you could see this doesn't obviously fall as much as the Ram did. All right, so we are trailer free now in the 2021 Sierra Denali. And right off the bat, I wanted to give you guys that example just to show you that you could put that much weight on it and it would run fine, and it actually beat my expectations of what it was gonna do. It definitely pulls very, very smoothly with the 6.2 liter. Now, if you are just puttering away and you have the question of should I buy a diesel or should I buy a gas, I think if you are trailering, I'd probably buy the diesel. I think the gas is just really good around town. It sounds awesome with this performance pack. As far as suspension goes, I like the fact that it is stiffer when you're pulling something like that because it just feels more safe and more stable with the chassis being that firm. As far as interiors go here, again, we can talk about how dated this interior is compared to relative stuff that's on sale today. But with the new one, it really depends on what you want, right? If you want all that new tech, then wait for the new one. Otherwise, this is plenty. It's got all the toys you need. It definitely has a ton of hard buttons. It's got pretty much a hard button for everything. You can use the touch screen, but really it's only useful when you are setting up wireless CarPlay. Yes, see, even though it's got a dated screen, it does have wireless CarPlay, which a lot of the others don't have. This thing is faster than my Ram, there's no doubt. Even though the horsepower rating are pretty much identical, this is definitely faster with this 10-speed. Also, the suspension is softer and harder at times because it does have active suspension. It's not just a typical regular suspension. This thing is all new with their active suspension. But again, when I drive it, it feels higher and more large. Like this cabin, because it's a square type design, is larger feeling than the other two competitors in its class. Steering is very direct. Brakes are good, a little bit mushy, but pretty good. Obviously, it's not a sports car, but they've done such good jobs with all these trucks that they build nowadays. So back to the interior, yes, that big screen will make a difference, but I don't think that'll be the deal breaker for people. I feel like the deal breaker for people will be when they move this shifter from up here to down here, and they actually take away space from here, because right now this goes right into my wireless charging. That just drops in there, and there's a lot of room here, a lot of space. I just feel like that will be the killer. If people want it, they'll buy it because of this, or if they don't want it, they won't buy it because of this. It just depends. But everything in here feels pretty good. As I said, I do definitely sit higher, and this engine hood, just the way the hood is sitting and the way the dash is, I'm definitely sitting, like my shoulders is where the hood is, if that makes any sense. The hood is basically right here. It's a very high hood, and the Ram doesn't feel that way. The Ram has a lower hood, a lower dash, and I feel like I'm sitting higher in the Ram, even though I'm not. I'm sitting probably at the same position. It's funny, when I drive these trucks, they just make so much power. It gets to like 80 miles an hour really fast, and there's so much more meat to go. I don't know how they put the speedometer in Canada right here. It's 200 kilometers an hour. This thing should be able to blow past 200 kilometers an hour. With the amount of power, it just keeps going and going and going. It is obviously electronically governed, but it's just got so much power. You hear the shifting on that 10 speed? It was very clean. It wasn't one of those we're used to. It's very fast and very responsive. So let's break down a gear here and go through that again so I can show you guys. Listen. That was very, very clean. Well, I'm not here to convince anybody if you should buy one or not buy one, because obviously the numbers are the proof, because 36% of all trucks sold are the Sierra and the Silverado. So obviously GM knows what they're doing in terms of selling trucks. But I can tell you, if you were going to buy a gas or a diesel for street use, I would probably buy the gas. And if I was just sitting on the highway hauling, I'd probably buy the diesel. And as far as comfort goes, I'd say the Denali does have a step up on the AT4. The AT4 does sit 2 inches higher, so that does obviously play into the fact of comfort. And looks. Looks is so tough because all three, whether the F-150, the Ram, and this thing, they all have really, really good looks. This one has the best boxy looks of all three. So if you like that boxy look with a huge grille, I think this is the way to go. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. And as for me,